Hello again, XDA Developer TV. I come at you today to talk to you about a device that showed up here a few weeks back, and that is the Mad Catz M.O.J.O. If you've watched my other videos on this channel, or if you've watched my 12 Plays Gaming channel, you've probably seen me talk about the NVIDIA Shield and the OUYA, and this device steps right in line as another Tegra-based gaming console. So let's dive in, see what makes it tick, and just learn a little bit more about it. Let's start things off by telling you just a little bit about the M.O.J.O itself. In terms of specifications, it is almost identical to the NVIDIA Shield. It comes rocking that Tegra 4 processor, 2 GB of RAM, 16 GB of built-in storage, although it does technically support Bluetooth 4 out of the box, even though I was not able to get Bluetooth 4 working because it comes running Android 4.2.2, while the Shield claims to only be Bluetooth 3 compatible. I'd be willing to bet once Android 4.4.2 comes out for the Shield, it's entirely possible that it will actually be running Bluetooth 4 and they just didn't want to say that ahead of time. Anyway, that's beside the point. As far as the rest of the specifications, there aren't that many because it is, at the end of the day, a box. It doesn't have a battery, it doesn't have a screen, it doesn't have a keyboard, it doesn't have a controller. Actually, it does have a controller, but that's a physically separate unit. For the M.O.J.O itself, it is just a teeny tiny little box. It's about 5 inches on a side and somewhere between 2 to 4 inches tall. As far as the software, as I mentioned, it is running Android 4.2.2, and it is extremely bare, very close to stock Android, about as close as you can get. Now, the downside about this is, out of the box, it doesn't play particularly well with the Play Store. It comes with the Play Store installed, but the grand majority of the apps don't see it as working. It doesn't see it as compatible. Mad Catz is fixed for this, which they actually say in their setup app on the device and through their website, is root it, and then clear your settings on the Play Store, and everything should become available. It took me a bit of fiddling around to make that happen, and I actually had to go out and purchase a USB A to A, male-to-male cable to make that happen because I had to plug it into a desktop to get it to work. But after I got it rooted and I cleared the Play Store cache, a lot of other applications did show up. I will not say that every single app in the Play Store is compatible, but a lot more were. Now, looking at it from an out-of-the-box end-user perspective, brand new user, not developer, not friendly with any sort of technology, I have to admit it's not going to be a great experience. If you're trying to give this to your grandkids, if you're trying to give this to your grandmother, because realistically it's not just a gaming device. You could use it as a home theater, you could use it as some sort of a streaming device, you could use it as a web browser. If you wanted to hook a PC, keyboard, and mouse up to it, you could do that. For out-of-the-box type stuff like that, that's not so bad. When you try to do the actual Play Store stuff, that's not going to be end-user friendly. Rooting the device is not going to be end-user friendly. So I have to kind of give it a thumbs down on that side. NVIDIA had the exact same kind of problem with the Shield when it first came out. Most of the games were not compatible with it through the store. They released an update eventually that actually made that compatible. So it probably is just a matter of time before Mad Catz pushes out an update to this to make the Play Store be compatible without having to root. In terms of actually playing games, like I said before, it does have that Tegra 4 processor and it has 2 GB of RAM, so it is extremely powerful, able to keep up with every game that I've thrown at it, which was a very short list at first and a very longer list later down the road. But yeah, everything I threw at it, no problems. The unit never seemed to really heat up, never had any problems out of it. Now, continuing on, looking at it from a developer's point of view, rooting the device, the fact that they provide the instructions on how to root it, that's awesome. The fact that you have to have a USB A to A, male-to-male cable to do it is a little bit less awesome, but there are $3 to $4 on Amazon if you can find one. I'll put the link to the one that I bought down in the video description if you'd like to check that out. It was, like I said, $3 or $4. But unfortunately, or maybe not, at this point, there hasn't been a whole lot of actual development done on the M.O.J.O, perhaps because it hasn't really reached a high point in the market yet, and perhaps just because there's not a whole lot of interest in taking that stock experience and doing something else with it. I do remember seeing in the forums though, Mad Catz did make all of the kernel sources available for it, so if you are interested in learning more about it and maybe doing development for it, you can head on over to the Mad Catz M.O.J.O forum. I'll try to put a link to that down in the video description as well. Now, moving on to accessories, because like I said before, it is just a little box. There's no screen, there's no keyboard, controller, anything like that attached to it, so you really have to attach other things to it to make it function. Out of the box, it does come with a controller, CTRLR, something like that. It is a Bluetooth controller, but out of the box it comes with a tiny little dongle that hooks into the USB port, and it has to have that in order to pair up with it. From what I understand, the controller that comes with it is supposed to be Bluetooth compatible, but it's Bluetooth Smart, and Bluetooth Smart was, if I understand correctly again, not available in Android 4.2.2. So when/if Mad Catz actually pushes out the KitKat update to the M.O.J.O, hopefully we will see Bluetooth Smart, Bluetooth Low Energy start working with this device, which means less dongles having to attach to it. Now that said, there are 2 USB ports on the back of the device, a USB 3 and a USB 2, so if you want to connect 2 devices, or even connect up a little USB hub, kind of like this cute little guy that I picked up at NVIDIA's tech conference I went to last week. It's got 4 ports. I plugged it up earlier and tested it with a keyboard and mouse and it worked just fine. So you should be able to do something like that. Additionally, keep in mind that Mad Catz does offer a range of their own accessories that are supposed to work with the device. They call them the Game Smart accessories, and they include things like keyboards and different Bluetooth mice that also come with USB dongles, and Bluetooth headphones that can also be plugged up using the 3.5mm headphone jack. There's several other different headsets that also work with it, and just a bevy of different devices. The one that you've seen are the ones that they sent me and that I have tested with the device. Now fortunately, yes, they do all work with it. Unfortunately, the Bluetooth from the Bluetooth mice do not work with it. I've tested it out as thoroughly as I possibly can, just cannot get it to pair for some reason or another, but as soon as I plug that USB dongle in, works just fine every time. And yes, I did make sure that it was able to pair correctly because I was able to pair it to my phone with no problems. However, the Bluetooth headphones were able to pair with it, so I'm guessing they're not necessarily Bluetooth smart, Bluetooth low energy. So that's just a bit of an interesting point there. But it should definitely be made known that you don't necessarily have to have the Mad Catz accessories to work with it. You can plug your regular old USB keyboard and mouse or any other Bluetooth keyboard and mouse that you want into it. For example, I connected an older Bluetooth keyboard that I've got, I believe it's Bluetooth 2.0 or 2.1, and it worked just fine, no questions asked. And so actually for maybe introducing a smaller child to web browsing without wanting to give them a desktop that they can necessarily screw up, this kind of an option would definitely be pretty decent. It's sort of akin to having a Chromebook, except that you have all of the Android apps on there as well, because it is pretty close to stock Android with the web browser, email, instant messaging, full Play Store, as well as being a really nice gaming experience. But you know what? I've gone off on quite a bit of a tangent here. I've gone in a lot of different directions, and I'll blame that on the medication because I've still got a bit of a sinus infection. To sort of round things out and wrap things up, the Mad Catz M.O.J.O is a very nice device. Out of the box, it's relatively limited, let's put it that way. The Play Store doesn't have 100% functionality, doesn't work with a large amount of apps. One thing I actually forgot to mention earlier, even once you unlock the Play Store, once you root the device and get the Play Store completely open, there are still going to be a lot of apps that don't work 100% with it because it is not touch friendly. You don't have that touch screen like you do on the Shield, and it does not come with any sort of gamepad mapper software like NVIDIA includes with the Shield now. Again, NVIDIA did not have that available when the Shield first came out, so the same kind of growing pains can be seen here. Maybe somebody in the community wants to put something together. I know there are options available that you can put on top of Android already, so maybe it's just a matter of actually doing that to my device. Just haven't done it yet. But it doesn't come with it out of the box, so if you were to download games to it and you were a new user, you would be completely frustrated because you've got this controller and this device, and you can't play the games that you're used to playing on your tablets or your phones. All of that aside, the games that work very well, very smooth, easy to play. The controller itself is very comfortable, feels realistically a lot like an Xbox controller, maybe a little bit lighter, a little bit more plasticky, but I guess that's kind of to be expected. All of the accessories that Mad Catz sent me to test out with it were just awesome. I'm going to be doing a full review of those over on my gaming channel if you'd like to see that. I'll put a link to that channel down in the video description as usual. Haven't got that review yet because, like I said, I've been sick. So all in all, it's not a terrible device. Now the real problem, the sort of crux of the issue is, the price point of this is somewhere between $199 and $249. Depends on where you are, when you look, things like that. And at the same time, the NVIDIA Shield is right now priced at $199. So when you put these two head to head, the Shield has a console mode, and you can pair a controller to it. The M.O.J.O is a console mode, that's all it's got to it, and it's the exact same price as the Shield now. Whereas the Shield, when you're done playing and you want to take it with you, you just unplug it and go. The M.O.J.O, you can't exactly do that. You've got to take a whole bunch of accessories, you've got to take cables and wires. So for home use, for complete devoted home use, that's not a bad option, especially if you can find it on sale somewhere, if you can find it for $150 maybe. If you are looking for portability and mobility, I would definitely move more in the direction of the Shield. But if you're looking for that stock Android experience and easy to root out of the box, provided you have the right equipment, the M.O.J.O definitely is not a bad option. And you know what? That's going to be about all from me for today, or I could continue on talking about it for quite a long time and ramble because of all the sinus medications. Thank you guys so much for watching. Do make sure to read the full review done by our own Jimmy McGee over on the portal. I'll have a link to that down in the video description as well, and this video will probably be embedded in that post, so hello people from the post. Make sure to check out my gaming channel down in the video description as well so you can see the videos on the accessories when I do get them posted. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel if you like this content, and I will see you again in the next video. Bye guys.